So, it was announced about a week ago that Dragon Ball Super is going to be coming to Toonami. Um, and these are my thoughts. Uh, okay, so I made that video a while ago of Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. Which of these will air Dragon Ball Super? And a lot of people in the comments were saying, "No, you dumb! It's gonna air on Toonami, duh, because they already have the rights to Dragon Ball Z Kai." And I got that. Like I was not denying at all that it would not air on Toonami. It totally would. But the way that they were going with this was, they were gonna wait for Kai because they weren't even finished yet. They weren't even finished with the first Kai. They weren't even finished. They're almost done. By the time Super is ready to air, it will be done. But they also still hadn't even gotten out Kai Buu Saga, which I'll get to in a minute. Is also coming to Toonami, but again, I'll get to that later. But I'm talking about the state of mind I was in whenever I made that video. Kai Buu Saga hadn't even come out yet. So, I was thinking, why would Toonami air it immediately if they're still not even done with Kai and they still have to air Kai Buu Saga? And the thing that tipped me off the most was a children's toy line was announced. It implies that Dragon Ball Super is probably going to be airing somewhere else. That's why in the original video, I said that I didn't think Toonami would be getting Dragon Ball Super for probably another year to 2 years. Mainly because of this toy line, because it just doesn't make sense. So my state of mind for that video was, because they announced a toy line, I didn't picture it airing on Toonami anytime soon. I imagined it was going to air on probably Nicktoons, because Nicktoons had Kai. And again, Avatar The Last Airbender, I want you guys to actually pause this video, open up Google in a separate tab, and type in the ratings that Avatar The Last Airbender got. That was the #1 show Nickelodeon has had next to SpongeBob. Okay? They bought the rights for Dragon Ball Z Kai, and it beat out Avatar The Last Airbender's ratings in its first week. So basically, I'm just trying to explain why I said I think it might go to Nickelodeon, and it still might, because again, there's still a children's toy line that has been announced and other things like that. So I'm really just trying to get a lot of the points I made on that other video clear, because there was just so many comments that really just didn't seem to understand that. But again, Dragon Ball Super is airing on Toonami. Oddly enough, it's airing on January 7th, and it's going to be airing at 11. And then Dragon Ball Z Kai, the Buu Saga, is going to be airing at 11:30. So it's going to be new episodes, like something that takes place further ahead of something that you haven't seen yet is airing first. And it's going to be really kind of awkward. But this has happened before. If you guys remember when Cartoon Network used to air brand new episodes of Dragon Ball Z along with brand new, never before seen in America episodes of Dragon Ball. Because if you guys remember, we didn't get Dragon Ball right off the start. We got Dragon Ball Z, the sequel series. It wasn't until later that we got the original Dragon Ball. But when we got that series, Dragon Ball Z still hadn't finished yet. I believe we were in the Buu Saga still. I think maybe Late Cell. I think we were in when Dragon Ball aired alongside it. So Dragon Ball Z was getting new episodes alongside of Dragon Ball premiering and getting new episodes of Dragon Ball, which were older adventures that we needed to learn to tie into Dragon Ball Z. So, I mean, it's going to be cool to kind of, if kids do watch Toonami, which I'm sure a lot of them do, because I know a lot of parents these days aren't very responsible and they don't really care what their kids watch these days, which, quite frankly, I think is ridiculous. But I'm sure a lot of kids have access to Toonami, and they probably will be watching Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z Kai. So it's going to be a very interesting, though, honestly, I'm sure any kid, like any 9-year-old, like, can get on the computer and Google search, and I'm sure they already know everything about Dragon Ball Z from YouTube clips or any file streaming site that you can watch free Dragon Ball Z episodes. But I'm actually really excited for the Buu Saga to be airing because I've been waiting for that forever. I do understand that the Buu Saga of Dragon Ball Kai, I've seen the entire Japanese version too myself. I've seen the whole thing. It's not very liked among the fan base, and I really can see why. As a person who used to remaster footage all the time, I look at what they did to the Buu Saga of Kai, and there is a heavy greenish yellow tint on it. I don't like that it's perma 16:9 as opposed to when the original Dragon Ball Kai aired. It was 16:9 on TV, but then when the Blu-rays came out, it was 4:3. But now it seems that even on the Blu-rays in Japan, it's still cropped 16:9, which is a little disappointing. But I mean, the 16:9 doesn't look too bad. They did pay attention, and they did make sure that they didn't crop out anything important. So I'm not too upset about it. But I mean, you guys know me. You guys know that I like consistency. But yeah, I'm really super excited about that because I know they've been done with that forever. But they've just been waiting. They've just been waiting on Toonami. Guys, I know you guys love Toonami, and I do too. But come on. This is getting ridiculous. I promise you. We would not have had to have waited for Dragon Ball Z Kai, or maybe even Dragon Ball Super, if they didn't want to break a TV deal with Toonami to help get them more views and things like that. But Toonami is so freaking slow, guys. It's so freaking slow. Like, by the time we get anywhere, like by the time we get in the middle of the Resurrection F arc of Frieza, of Dragon Ball Super, we'll be so much further ahead in Japanese Dragon Ball Super. So I mean, it's like they're never gonna catch up. Which I mean, it's not really important that they do anyway because there's Crunchyroll and the episodes come on, they're subbed. But for the dub fans, myself included, it's unfortunate that we're just gonna be so far behind. And really, honestly, you owe it all to Toonami airing only 1 or 2 episodes a week. Like I said, we would have gotten Dragon Ball Z Kai Buu Saga forever ago. You want to know why? Because they've been done with it forever. They've been done with it. But we would have gotten that a long time ago if they weren't waiting and waiting and waiting for Toonami to finish airing Dragon Ball Z Kai, the first one, so that they could air the second one. That kind of stuff really ticks me off. Like, don't get me wrong, I will do an updated video on my thoughts on current Toonami, but I really do like the direction that it's been going in lately, but it's still one night a week, and even then, it's the slow pace, and Funimation wants to get these TV deals. Them getting these TV deals with Toonami makes them a ton of money, but we as viewers, we as fans, we as the audience, we are suffering. We are the ones that are doing without, because they're waiting to make money on a TV deal, but they're waiting because Toonami wants to take forever, and sometimes they don't even air an episode of Dragon Ball Kai every Saturday. Sometimes they'll have like I saw the other day, they had a Mobile Suit Gundam marathon or an Evangelion movie marathon, and they don't air an episode that week. So that's another week we have to wait for them to go back to the regular schedule and air another episode of Kai, and then hopefully they keep going at that rate, and then, oh no, they gotta do a marathon of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, of course. So now we can't do watch an episode of Dragon Ball Kai this week, so now we have to wait yet another week for them to finish before we can get Dragon Ball Z Kai Buu Saga. That stuff really just ticks me off, that we have to wait, all because they want to get a TV deal and because Toonami wants to take for gosh dang ever. I don't know. But Dragon Ball Super is airing on Toonami alongside Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapters. But one thing to note is that this version of Dragon Ball Z Kai that we're getting of the Buu Saga is different than the one that aired in Japan. Because the one that aired in Japan was simply titled Dragon Ball Kai. That's all it was called. It was just Dragon Ball Kai. And then they aired the Buu Saga. But in other countries, they released a international version. Even in non-speaking countries, this series is still called Dragon Ball Z Kai: The Final Chapters. It's only called Dragon Ball Kai in Japan. They're the only country that got that version. We are getting a different version. We are getting a version that supposedly has some different scenes, so they're taking out some and adding in different ones, and they're also adding in like more scenes, and I'm hoping maybe different visuals, because the green tint is really annoying on Japanese Kai, because I do have the entire Kai Buu Saga on my computer backlogged of the original version that aired in Japan. So I'm hoping that the international version is different to an amazing degree, because Kai Buu Saga was really kind of disappointing, especially considering the absolutely amazing stellar series that the original Kai is. I love the original Kai. But yeah, what do you guys think? Comment on down below. Let me know what you guys think. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.